This is our friend Madeline. All her friends call her Glad, though she used to be called Mad, but that's a whole other story. Glad is 11 years old and she loves Jesus. She and her friends, called the Glad Gang, go to school and church together and they play on a football team. They are always in each other's company. The Glad Gang were all super excited because the new FIFA game had just come out. They all wanted to be the first ones to finish it and then be able to tell the others all about it. Glad rushed out and bought the game with her birthday money, but when she brought it home, her mom told her she had to do her homework, do her chores, and bake her famous chocolate chip cookies for the team fundraiser before she could play the game. Can you imagine? Before! Glad was very upset because she wanted to be the first one to finish the game. Glad took the game up to her room. She was really very angry with her mom and decided that it wouldn't hurt if she just played for a little while and then did all she had to do. After all, it was Saturday. Homework didn't need to be done till Monday. Her room wasn't really all that untidy, and the fundraiser wasn't until later on that night. She could get a few rounds in on the game and then bake the cookies. That decided, she sat down and began to play. It seemed no time had passed at all when her mom called up the stairs to her. "I have to go out for a bit. Don't forget your famous cookies need to be done when I get back. I should be gone a little over an hour." Glad called down, "Yeah, okay, Mom, yeah, all right. But then went right back to the game. Now imagine her surprise when her dad called up to say that Mom would be home in 30 minutes. Uh-oh, Glad thought to herself, I have to get the cookies done. So she dashed downstairs and ran to the kitchen. Now Glad's cookies are famous because they are the absolute best, most yummy chocolate chip cookies ever to be made on the entire planet. She made them all the time, so she didn't even need to look at the recipe anymore. She got out all of her ingredients and got moving. She creamed, she mixed, she stirred and baked, so that when her mom arrived home a little over 30 minutes later, the last batch was just coming out of the oven and no one was the wiser. See, she thought to herself, it was fine that I played the game first. She packed up the cookies, which looked absolutely perfect, and off they all went to the fundraiser. Now Glad's famous cookies were all sold first. That's how popular they were. But then something curious began to happen. As people began to eat the cookies, they chewed for mere seconds, spat them out into a napkin, and threw them away. What was going on? Glad's mom also looked confused and took a bite of the cookie she had in her hand. She didn't even chew it a second, but immediately spat the bite into the napkin and threw it away. Glad was incredibly embarrassed. She couldn't imagine what might have happened to make everyone not like her cookies. After all, they are the best, most yummy cookies on the planet. After she got home, her mom told her to sit down at the table in the kitchen and went upstairs for a moment. "Glad," she said after she came back down, "you played your game when you got home, even though I told you to do your homework, your chores, and the cookies first, didn't you?" It wasn't really a question. Mom had gone up and looked in Glad's room and knew what she had done. Well, Glad began to make excuses. "The homework isn't due till Monday. My room isn't that untidy, and I had plenty of time to make the cookies before we left. There is no reason not to play the game, and I wanted to be the first one to finish. Sebastian always gets to play his game when he wants." Glad's mom looked very disappointed and sent her up to her room. She was grounded for a a week. Her dad took her gaming system and the game out of her room and told her to think about what she had done wrong. Glad began to get very angry. Her insides churned and churned. Why was she being punished? Who did her parents think they were anyway? The more she thought and questioned, the angrier she became, until she decided that her parents didn't respect her and she would run away. But as she looked about for things to pack, well, she couldn't find anything because she hadn't tidied her room. Well, that made her even angrier, and her insides began to churn even faster. She would write her parents a note, and she would leave with just the clothes she wore. Then they'd be sorry. She looked around for a notebook page and pen, but she hadn't done her homework, so her backpack wasn't in her room. She thought she would get angrier, but instead, she began to cry. If she had done what her mom had asked, she would be able to find all the things she thought she needed now. As she cried, she began to pray. Jesus, I am so sorry I didn't honor my mom and my dad like we learned in church last week. I'm sorry I played my game first and that I was jealous of Sebastian for being able to play his all the time. And I'm really sorry I lost my temper. Please forgive me. I will apologize to Mom and Dad in the morning. And the next morning, she went downstairs, and that was just what she did. Her mom gave her a hug, and her dad messed her hair about, but she was still grounded. I can't figure out why no one liked the cookies, Glad said over breakfast. They looked perfect, and they are the best, most yummy cookies on the planet. Her mom looked at her and smiled. Did you try one? Glad shook her head. Because you waited till the last minute and were in such a hurry to make them, you didn't notice you used salt instead of sugar. They looked perfect, but they tasted terrible. Glad looked shocked and then ashamed. If she had done what her mom asked, the cookies would have tasted perfect as well. She quickly got up, made a new batch with her mom's help, and took them to all the people who had bought the bad ones with her apologies. Glad learned that just because things look good doesn't mean they are good, and that God had put people into her life, like her mom and dad, to help teach her about His goodness. And well, His goodness is the best, most yummiest goodness on the planet.